times today.
At the H-back position, if Braxton does play there, how does Curtis Samuel fit in? I know you said you want to use him a lot there too.
Yeah, Curtis is, that's why I kind of played around him in spring, because Zeke is a starting tailback and Curtis Samuel was earned the right to get on the field. So well before the season took place, the H-back issue, Curtis is going to play, Braxton is going to play, and Brown is going to play. Potentially all three starting. So that tells you a little bit how much I think of those three guys. So Curtis will have a major role. He's still in the learning phase of that position.
Can Braxton
does switch? Will he play H and wide receiver, or just H?
From what
when
you
take Joey out of the equation, how big of a loss do you? How much does that sting for the over?
It depends on Hubbard and Jalen Holmes, Taekwon, and Darius Slade. It's obvious, but when you said Braxton Miller went down, no big of a loss. If JT wasn't very good, it would have been a Florida loss. JT's pretty good. I think those guys are good. The problem when you look next to Hubbard, Taekwon's played, Jalen, playing time, look next to him, there's nothing there. So that's the biggest concern. Talent-wise, we're good. Development, that's Larry Johnson. That's what he gets paid to do.
You talked about your experience, obviously, coaching wide receivers. What's the most difficult thing for Braxton in this switch? What's the hardest thing to learn?
Someone asked me that earlier. Is a guy in his face. Because if you say go out and run routes, I've seen him do that, and it's a wow. How does he do with a very good player on top of him? And that's the ins and outs of playing the position. So and you can't do much of that in the summer. He's gone out, I guess, and worked with Von Bell a little bit, but we're gonna do that day one. So it's how he handles a guy in his face.
What influence did the NFL have on his decision to come to you with that?
You'd have to ask him. I believe that was part of it. I don't think that was the reason. His plan B was a little bit because, what happens if you can't throw like he did? And I hear he's throwing well, but he's also really consumed right now with learning how to play that other position. So I think that was part of it, but not the reason.
You put him in touch with Percy?
No.
Would you?
He has talked to Chris Carter quite a bit. He's developed because Chris comes back a lot. And Chris is a Buckeye and one of my greatest friends, and he's been very helpful.
Urban, is there anything else with the roster at all? Anything else with any other injuries, or as we go into camp that guys might not be there?
Oh, yeah, Dylan Thompson's not quite healed, and Kyle Berger's not quite healed, so I'm not sure how they're going to be. We're going to finalize that on Wednesday, if they'll be in training camp or not. But other than that, I think we're, JT's 100% ready to go, and you had Titus and Ezekiel with the rest. They're 100%.
In talking about this competition at quarterback, a second year for JT after getting thrown in as a redshirt freshman, never playing before last year. Cardale's kind of the same situation, but JT was young. Like, how much better do you think JT maybe could be even than what he was last year?
He already is. You can see it. You can see the leadership. JT is, and I didn't know this. For me to say, well, we took him in high school because we knew this, I had no idea. Tom Herman, Trent Dilfer, who worked with him in the Elite 11, I talked to him quite often, and he made a comment to me about his leadership. I was like, this is exactly what we needed. And boy, oh boy, right now he's off the charts. Because I had some leadership meetings throughout the summer, and he's off the charts.
How's Cardale in that department?
Cardale's much better. Cardale, 2 years ago I said didn't exist, but he's got his own style of leadership. If you notice, people migrate to him. He's got a sense of humor, but he's also a very serious guy when it's time to get down to business. And that's where he's grown up. And to say I knew that existed, I didn't know that existed. When I saw, because Wisconsin, he really didn't have that chance. It just happened too fast. Alabama, I saw it, and Oregon, I saw it.
Does one of those guys have the edge to be the starter?
Not right now.
In your eye, when did kind of the thoughts about Braxton moving to wide receiver? When did that start? When did you become aware of that possible idea?
I'm going to say a month and a half ago, but on record, I'm not sure the exact date. I'm going to say a month and a half ago, he said, "Can I talk to you?" And I said, "Sure." And he said, I just Plan B, coach. You always talk about Plan B, which I do with our players about life after football. And he said, "I want to talk about Plan B in case his shoulder." And I said, "Okay, what are your thoughts?" And he started telling me. And he's been working at punt return. He's been working everything. So it's really, he pushed it, and then we just want to make sure that when he says let's do it, he's prepared to go do it.
So
probably a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago.
Is Plan A still in play then?
I think so. We haven't talked much about that. He's been focused at wide receiver with me, and then I know that because the quarterback stuff, we're not there. They're doing the throwing on their own. I'm there when he's doing a lot of the receiver stuff.
No, again, it sounds like you have a lot more thinking to do about all of this, but if you have a player on the field at H-back or receiver who used to be a quarterback, what does that do for coming up with new? I mean, Evan Spencer threw a pass last year. Jalen Marshall's thrown a pass. What could Braxton Miller do at H-back throwing the ball?
Pretty intriguing. That's for a guy that sits and doodles all day long like a child. It's pretty exciting.
Your doodles must be pretty good right now.
I'm not letting you see him either.
There were so many rumors about Braxton leaving, and he never. I mean, you always told us he wasn't going anywhere. His teammates always said that. And he told us about his love for Ohio State. How big of a deal is the chemistry in that room that you talked about with the quarterbacks, those three guys, and how they get along, and in making sure that he had no interest in going there?
Well, Cardell had the same decision, I guess, to make, and I remember thinking, he's not doing it. Would he really do that? And I believe Tom Herman and the culture right now, and I'd say it's always like that, because cultures, because it's such a fluid, kids are leaving the program, coming into the program. It's not, when you develop a culture in the NFL like the Patriots, it's easier to maintain that because you keep your guys. It's like this in college football. So we have I don't want to say perfect culture, but the last 3 weeks of this season we had the perfect culture. And those kids played because they loved each other. People say, oh, come on, no, that's what they did. And that was created, first of all, by the team culture, but also Tom Herman did a heck of a job. And I know why they stayed, because they love their teammates and they love Ohio State.
Two more questions, Percy.
Are you surprised by the reputation he's got? SI called him the worst hated guy in the locker room in the NFL.
I don't know.
You were not aware of that?
No.
Herbert saw nothing like that.
Well, I love Percy.
What'd you tell Tim Beck walking into that room? I mean,
Tim Beck?
Yeah.
I mean, I told him a lot of things, but I told him it's not fair to he's not making that decision. It's not fair. He's not. He's learning the offense, and he's got a very good football mind, and we're going to make that together. Ed Warner's going to be involved in that decision, and coach him as hard as you can. I'm not putting that on him. It's not fair.
Irvin, you've been in this position before. Coming off of a national championship, what's a greater challenge, getting there or maintaining it?
Well, greater challenge is probably getting. I don't know. I know it's more enjoyable. It's getting. That's a freaking fight up the hill. Man. There's nothing like that. It's the one when everything's pointed at you. Because we've been there. It's just at times it could be awful. I haven't felt that way yet. But I can't say which is easier. I can tell you which is more